Hi, welcome to Just Common Sense. My name's Brian Harrison, and as always, I have Jerry on the line tonight. He wants to say some stuff, so say hi, Jerry.
Hi, Jerry.
There you go. So anyway, tonight's subject is going to be a couple things, but the first subject is going to be transgender. Oh, that just hit a big note when I said that. Everybody's going, oh, let's hear and listen to what this is going to be about. It's going to be about transgender. And we've talked about this before, but it's going to be about them competing against women, for example. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Leah Thomas, who used to be a so-known man, okay, or boy. That being said, though, now he or she is claiming to be a woman and now is competing in obviously swimming events. And that being said, has won a medal. And in my opinion, no, you did not win. So we're going to talk about that. But, Jerry, what's your thoughts on this?
Well, there's a couple things. One, Leah Thomas, Leah Thompson or Thomas or whatever
Thomas.
is not a woman. Okay,
right.
He was born a guy. His chromosomes are male, and so he's not a girl. He is a guy. He was born a guy. Went through puberty as a
Right.
guy. And one of the things that I feel on transgender, whether they're athletes or not, is just because you take something off or put something on doesn't make you the other gender. All
Right.
it does is make you the gender that you were born with, either less parts or extra parts.
Right.
And so, as far as this national swimming championship that he won, it's completely unfair for a man to be competing against the women.
Right.
And one of the things I've talked to, a few different friends of mine about when, in regards to this is there's a reason that we have men's sports and women's sports. When it comes to sports, men are just physically larger. They are physically stronger on average. I know there's always somebody going to say, well, there's that one woman that, and I get that, but on average, men are larger, men are stronger. That's why we don't have, just basketball, because if we had just basketball, a woman would probably never make the team.
Right.
And so, that's why we have women's basketball. So they have the opportunity to play. So
Yeah.
to allow somebody like this, Leah Thompson, I forget what his real name is, but,
Yeah.
it's Leah is literally like something that's a shortening of what his real name was.
Right.
And, but, like he's like Leonard or something like that.
Yeah.
He shortened it to Leah. But,
Yeah.
but the thing is, so what this is doing is this is taking away one more opportunity for women to compete in something. Because once enough guys decide that, hey, I could be mediocre to below average as a guy on a guy's team, but man, I could be a rock star on a women's team.
Right.
And once enough guys do that, then there won't even be any women on the women's team.
Yeah. I know.
So,
I know.
I don't know. Hopefully that's clear enough for everybody to understand. But
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. And if you're not good enough as a guy to play the sport that you like to play, find another sport or get better at the sport you like.
Yeah.
But don't try and go and take away from the women. And one thing you don't notice is you don't notice a female demanding to play on the men's team.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not.
And again, there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know. So I want to say a couple things. For example, okay, Emma Wyatt, I believe I got that right. I hope that's the true winner right there, in my opinion. That's also the governor of Florida. He has declared her the winner. And I
thought that was pretty awesome on DeSantis' part.
DeSantis did a great job there, and I do agree with him on that. And, when it comes to transgender, I want to say it is totally up to you to do what you want with your body. That's fine. If you want to do that, that's fine. I may not be for it, but again, it's your choice. Now, that being said, regardless, you're thinking you're going to be a woman. You may feel it, you may think it, you may act it in your head, but regardless, you're not going to change your DNA. At least not yet. Jurassic
Brian,
Park hasn't
when
happened.
I was younger,
yeah,
my younger brother, he's about 5 years younger than me, and my younger brother I remember we used to go down this one road where we lived in Florida,
Yeah.
and we would drive by a feed store.
Yep.
And outside the feed store was this absolutely beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
I still remember it was blue with silver accents, two horse trailer.
Okay.
And my little brother just loved it, and he thought it was the neatest thing he'd ever seen. And so he kept telling my parents he wanted him to buy it so that he could ride in it.
Yep.
And finally, one day, my mom said, "Well, you can't ride in that. You're not a horse."
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Well, I want to ride in it. So when I grow up, I'm going to be a horse." Well, obviously, he didn't grow up to be a horse, and
Uh-huh.
obviously, he never rode in the trailer. But
Mm-hmm.
that kind of leads to the point that we're
Right.
just talking about. Just because you
Yeah.
say you're a woman, if you're not, or if you say you're a
Right.
man and you're not, that doesn't make it so.
Right.
I mean, so it's like just as somebody says, "Oh, I just like wearing dresses and I like wearing heels and I like putting on
Right.
makeup," that doesn't make you a woman. Even
Right.
if you mutilate your body, it doesn't make you a woman. You're just a man who's mutilated his body and likes to wear dresses. And
Right.
if you like to wear dresses, knock yourself out, go for it.
Sure.
But that doesn't make you a woman.
No.
Just like my brother's not a horse.
No. No. He's going to find this interesting if he listens to this podcast tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
I know.
Well, he'll laugh about it because we've talked
Yeah.
about that over the years. Like, hey, man, remember when you wanted to grow up to be a horse?
Yeah.
How'd that work out?
Anyway, so this so-known Leah Thomas has actually participated as a man or a boy. I'm not sure how old he was at the time in sports before, and came in not too bad, but not in first place. So I guess at this point he decides he wants to be a woman. Now he's going to compete because now all of a sudden, guess what? First place. Now, when the NCAA was there and he, so known, won this, he stood up to collect his medal. I guess that's what it was, a medal. But anyway, he stood up to collect his medal. And not many people clap. Now,
No, they said it was silent.
Silent. Yeah. Emma did it. Everybody was clapping and celebrating. Emma, you're the true winner. I don't believe that boys should be participating in women's sports or men. Same with girls or women should not be participating in men's sports. Unless you're going out to play golf with each other, things like that, it's not a big deal. But when you're doing this professionally, football, whatever the case may be, that's different.
But Brian, when you go to a
it.
golf course, to your point, when you go to a golf course, what is in front of the men's tee?
Women's tee.
Exactly, a shorter distance, because they simply just, on average, like I said, there's always going to be the one woman that does, but on average, the majority of women don't have the same strength as men. So,
right.
When you go to a golf course, to your point, there's a women's tee that's usually substantially in front of the men's tee.
This is kind of embarrassing, too, because I do play golf occasionally. And when I go out and play golf with my friends, they look at me and go, start at the women's tee. What's wrong with that? Well, I don't get that part. What's going on here? What are they telling me?
Well, when you make a mistake, I've gone out before, and the guys that I played with in the past, and I've not been a good golfer in my life, but I've played golf with some very good golfers.
Yeah.
And it's always quite embarrassing if you mess up your tee shot. And so if you mess up your tee shot and it doesn't go past the women's tee, you have to buy beer for everybody.
I don't want my friends hearing this because I will be buying a lot of beer. Yeah. I either end up there or I end up in some place like the sand or mainly in water.
Yeah, my friends used to call me Paul Bunyan because I was in the woods a lot.
Oh, yeah. Well, all I know is I could buy 24 balls. I think it's come about 24 balls or whatever. And by the time I'm done, I'm at about 3 or 4 balls left. And I say, see, I got 3 balls or 4 balls, and that's all I got left. Where'd the other ones go?
It's funny you say that because that used to be my big victory for the day was, leaving the golf course with some of the golf balls that I came with and not losing them all. So
yeah. I'm
but
exaggerating. It's not that many balls I lose, but still.
well, no, I don't lose 20 or so, but I mean, I might lose 7 or 8 or something like that. And it's like,
Yeah.
but the funny thing is, now the funny thing is, there's women out there that are saying the same thing that you
Yeah.
and I are saying, that when they play with their friends, they lose a lot of golf balls and everything like
Sure.
that. But just kind of going back to how we got into this is,
Hmm.
when you brought up like you like to golf, and we're talking about, athletes competing in areas where they probably shouldn't be competing.
Yeah.
And, so when you go to a golf course, there is there's actually, if you remember, because I don't golf
Hmm.
much and I know you don't golf much, but if you remember, there's 3 sets of tees. There's usually the
Hmm.
PGA tee, which is all the way back,
Right.
for the pros. And then there's the men's tee, and then there's the women's tee.
Uh-huh.
And so, I mean, it's like when you look at that, the women's tee is substantially in front of the men's, and there's a
Hmm.
reason because, like I said, men are just
Right.
on average stronger physically, and that's the
Yeah.
same thing in basketball. If you watch, I've got a good friend of mine whose daughter played college basketball,
Hmm.
and so we used to watch some college basketball games together, and he moved away, and so we would like talk on the phone while the games were on and everything like that. And when you watch women's college basketball, you don't see dunks. Well, why is that? Oh, because they can't jump as high on average. I mean, is there a girl out there that can dunk? Yes, there is. I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it
Hmm.
doesn't happen often though. But
Right.
I mean, I got to tell you, with my friend, I've watched probably a couple dozen games and never seen one dunk
Hmm.
by a woman. Now, conversely, when you watch the men's game, you can't go more than about 3 or 4 minutes in most games without seeing somebody dunk.
Yeah.
It's a constant thing. And it's not because the men are more skilled,
Hmm.
it's just because they're bigger and stronger. And,
Yeah.
they can jump higher.
Yeah. Yeah.
As a matter of fact, women are very good shooters in
Hmm.
basketball because they can't dunk as easily.
Yeah.
So they learn to shoot better.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. So anyway, we're just wanted to talk about that tonight. We also want to talk about, it seems like a lot of, we talked about this earlier on today when you talk about a lot of gay people that are just, I don't want to say the gays that are out there, the young ones that are all, what do I say, flamboyant. I'm talking about the normal gay people and all that. They have their relationships, whatever, and that's fine. But they're not, a lot of them are not for transgender. They really aren't. And they're totally against it. And that's their choice to do that. But I've talked to quite a few who have said that. They just don't think it's right. And a lot of it's got to do with the sports, things like that. Have you heard any of that, Jerry?
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, and but I can understand that though, because what
Yeah.
happens is, when somebody goes out there, anytime that somebody tries to draw attention to themselves in
Hmm.
a way like that, what it does is it takes away from the legitimacy of other causes.
Yeah.
And,
It's true.
I mean, so it's like, and plus the other thing is, my wife and I have discussed this too, that,
Hmm.
with all the stuff like the transgender stuff and everything like that,
Yeah.
what's next?
Yeah.
You know, once they've normalized this, once they've, pounded it into the heads of the kids in school that
Yeah.
it's okay to cut parts off
Right.
or to sew parts on, and
Yeah.
that's normal, which it's not normal. If it was normal, then
Yeah.
we would have the ability to do it much simpler than major surgery and
Hmm.
hormone treatment and things like that. But what's next? Are we going to start saying that pedophiles are normal and that
Yeah.
we should all accept them, and that we should just say that, oh, it's not a crime for an adult human being to go out and take advantage of a child? I mean, that's now, right now, there are some people that are starting to feel that way. I mean,
Yes.
there was a
Mhm.
college professor,
Yep.
a couple of weeks back or a couple months ago, that
Yes.
wanted to change the phrase and said that pedophile was
Hmm.
a stigmatized phrase, that we needed to get rid of it because it was discriminatory, and we needed to
Yep.
change the word pedophile and start using minor attracted person.
I heard about
And
that,
it's
and
like, because
yep.
that's just trying to
Right.
desensitize us
Yep.
to this. And so
Correct.
the thing is, when you've got, so you know what, whether you're straight, whether you're gay, it's like,
Yeah.
that's, I mean, okay, so that's just who you are. But
Sure.
once you start mutilating your body,
Right.
that's when I start saying, okay, I think you've crossed a line. But
Right.
regardless of whether you mutilate your body or not, that doesn't make you the other gender. That's
No.
why I often hesitate when I'm in conversations with people when they talk
Yeah.
about transgender. I'll say, well, I said, for the purpose of the conversation, I'll go ahead and let you use that term. But in reality, there is no such thing as transgender.
Right.
You can't change your gender.
Right. And you went into a point which I was just getting ready to say. Of course, Jerry's got a camera. He's reading my notes. I was going to talk about that professor tonight. But again, Jerry just brought it up. So, and you're right. You're right. They're trying to make pedophiles even less. Maybe that professor is a pedophile, and that's what he's in denial, and he's just, who knows?
That's a great point. I hadn't even thought about that.
Yep. Maybe there's a reason why, because he's feeling guilty about something and going, uh-oh, maybe I better change
this. Or if he can get it normalized before he gets caught.
Right. Or in his own mind, he's trying to convince himself, oh, this is normal by going with less, changing that name. I'm not saying it's happening. It could be. Just a thought. Just a thought.
Yep.
Now, going back into this Leah Thomas, they were talking about on the news, and they were saying tonight, well, what we could do is we could have two parts. We could have the women getting their, I guess, saying, yeah, they won, but then somebody like Leah Thomas has an asterisk saying, okay, you're a transgender, but you won. Okay, that makes no sense, because by doing that, and I'm going to let Jerry talk in a minute about what he said earlier, because we did talk about this. But by doing that, you're separating yourself in a sense, which the transgenders don't want to do that. So again,
not only you're separating, but you're still
right.
rewarding the person.
Yes.
For dominating in a class that they shouldn't even be in.
Right.
And, so, here's this. And the thing is, I know that, we talk about different stuff, but there's this 6'4" dude that's swimming against these girls that are, physically inferior to him.
Right.
And it's like, and as far as competing against women, these are the best of women swimmers.
Yes.
And it's like, but you can't compete against a guy who, he was actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was like ranked in the world at one point. Not highly ranked. He was low ranked,
not
but
highly,
he was at least
still,
ranked.
Yes.
And it's like, and so, it's just not fair. And so putting an asterisk next to his name is basically rewarding him by allowing him to win the championship, get the trophy, have the other person come in second place and not get the first place trophy. But, the equivalent that I would give that is that's sort of like a guy robs a bank, gets caught robbing the bank. They put him on trial. He's found guilty. And they're like, okay, you know what? You were found guilty, so you're going to be punished for robbing the bank, but we're going to let you keep the money.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, really? I mean, so, and that's what, well, and actually there's also the collateral damage. And, me, I mean, I'm not a big fan of the political correctness or, anything like that.
Right.
So, I mean, it's like when somebody gets their feelings hurt, sometimes I say, hey, grow thicker skin. But on this one, I've got to, give in and say, I agree with her. The girl that was left out of the championships because Leah Thomas was in.
Right.
There was that one girl who was the 17th placed person, and they were only putting 16 in the finals. And she wound up not being allowed to be in the championship because a guy was in the championship.
Yeah, and that's not fair.
And what's going to happen is down the road, with all this political correctness nonsense, what'll happen is pretty soon. So right now you got a guy that's winning championships. Well, pretty soon what's going to happen is then it's not just going to be, oh, there's a guy winning the championship.
Right.
They're going to get into the whole political correctness thing and say, well, we don't have enough men on the women's team. So we're going to have to, meet our quota for having enough men on the women's team so that we don't seem like we're discriminatory. We need more diversity on our women's team. So, I mean, so right now we've got 10 women on the team and we don't have any guys. So we need to have at least 3 guys on our team. So 3 of the women, you're gone. You're out of here. And it's like, and I know there's somebody out there right now that's shaking their head and saying, oh, that'll never happen.
Right.
Well, really? 5 years ago, if you told me that a man would win the women's NCAA swimming championship, I'd have told you the same thing.
Yeah, good
that
point.
It could never happen, but it just did.
Yeah, great point there. All right, time to move on to another subject. We're going to go ahead, and I'm just going to say, yeah, Jerry and I both are complete agreement on this, and it looks like a big majority of people are agreeing that these transgenders should not compete in women's sports or men's sports when
Well,
they're
I'll leave you with
going
one
into
thing
it.
on that.
Go
I know
ahead.
you want to move on, but there was one
That's
thing,
fine.
and you and I had listened to that clip,
Sure.
about this,
Go
the
ahead.
news clip.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we brought into this conversation a few minutes ago was how the gay community feels about a lot of this.
Yes.
And one of the most dominant female tennis players of all time
Yeah.
was Martina Navratilova.
Right.
Okay. As a matter of fact, a lot of people used to joke about, she looked like a man and she was built like a man and everything, but she was a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and the thing is, she was gay, and
Yep.
it's like, but she was interviewed.
Yeah.
And she's even coming out and saying this is wrong. So,
Right.
this isn't a thing where everybody's
No.
standing in
Yeah.
arms lockstep saying, hey, we all
Yeah.
believe the same thing. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, so here's Martina. It doesn't matter whether you're straight or you're gay. People
Yeah.
realize this is wrong.
Yeah. Even Bruce Jenner
You
says
don't
the same
have to
thing.
be straight to know it.
Yeah.
Bruce Jenner, Martina Navratilova, and it's
Yes.
like, and
Yeah.
they're not saying that somebody shouldn't be allowed to
Right.
make the transition. They're saying they just shouldn't compete in sports.
Right. Okay. All right. So we're going to move on. We're going to make this quick. There's a few things that came up today. We don't want to talk about Biden a whole lot. Hey, Rocket Man's back at it again. Yay. Shooting missiles and everything else. So
I got to tell you
this
something.
is absolutely crazy. Huh?
I don't know if he's got a new image consultant or something like that, but I got to tell you something. He has really changed. If you look at him now, he doesn't wear that stupid black pajama looking outfit anymore. Now he's wearing adult clothing, and he's actually got an adult haircut. And the other day I saw him on TV, and I didn't even know it was him at first. And then they, said, "Oh, Kim Jong Un," and I was like, well, "Wait a minute, that's him," And it's like he actually made the transition to adulthood.
Right, but did you see all the clothes where they're from?
No. Where are they from?
They're Trump ties and all that.
Are they really?
No, but I'm messing with you guys. I don't know. Because they're friends, right? No, they're not friends. They are not. Trump did that for a reason, saying he's friends. He's trying to keep things calmed down, and it was working.
Well, Trump was the first guy to treat him like a world leader.
And it may have worked.
Exactly. The guy calmed down.
Yeah, he did. I'm not saying he was good to his people, but God knows.
And he's still not.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about Biden today. We saw a news clip today. Jerry sent it to me, and I saw it. And I actually looked at it on the news, and Biden's sitting here saying, guess what? He's talking about soldiers, and he's talking about you guys are going to be in Ukraine. Or not Ukraine. Yeah, Ukraine. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. I'm getting like him. You're going to be in Ukraine, and we're going to be in Ukraine. I didn't think we were going to Ukraine. I didn't know. So what's going on there?
In Poland.
Yes.
He was in Poland.
Yes.
And he was talking to U.S. soldiers. I think they were the 82nd Airborne soldiers that were over there.
Yes.
And he was talking to them, and he is clearly quoted.
Yes.
It's not like one of those where, you can say, it was a little bit edgy, and I couldn't really tell what he said. No. He was clearly quoted as saying, when you go into Ukraine, here is what you can expect to see.
Yeah, and he was talking about the tanks, and he's talking about the Russian soldiers and the tanks and all that. He was breaking it down.
Exactly.
And
but he didn't say if you go in there or if it happens. He said when you go. And, that really bugs me a bit because one of two things, either he's telling our plans in advance, which is never a good thing.
Right.
And he's doing it publicly.
He does it all the time.
Or, he is, basically setting an unfair expectation to, the rest of the world.
And Ukrainians
going in.
Yeah.
And the Ukrainians might be sitting there going, all right, man, the U.S. is coming. All we got to do is hold on. And, so, I mean, whatever's going on, what he did today was irresponsible.
Right. It was
completely
dumb.
Irresponsible.
Very stupid. And that's why it was on the news. And then there is an announcement. He said, I heard it's going to be a big announcement about what's going on with Ukraine and the war tomorrow. So maybe it is something to do with this. Who knows? But he spilled the beans today if it was the case. And again, we're going to find out what's going on tomorrow. It's some big announcement I heard. We'll see if it happens. Maybe he just said there's going to be a big announcement. And tomorrow we're going to hear, you know what? We're just going to hear nothing but crickets.
Well, it could be any number of things. It could be that we're going to
Yeah.
allow the jets to go from Poland to the Ukrainian
Yeah.
military. It could
Could
be
be
that
many things.
we're going to support a
Yeah.
no-fly zone. It could be. I personally don't think that it's going to be we're sending
No.
troops in,
No, I don't think so either. I'm just
because I've heard
saying.
people mention that
Yeah.
the U.S. might participate in a NATO peacekeeping force.
Yeah.
But see, the problem with
Yep.
that is that NATO, because Ukraine is
Right.
not a NATO country,
Right.
NATO has no standing
That's
to
correct.
go in with a peacekeeping force,
Right.
and the Russians could consider them a hostile military force.
Right.
And the Russians would be right in that aspect
Yeah.
because, like I said, this is not a NATO thing. And what it is it's a United Nations thing.
Yep.
And the problem is that a few years back, against the, good judgment of the people in the United Nations,
Mm-hmm.
they allowed Russia to have a seat on the Security Council. And when you have a
Right.
seat on the Security Council, you can veto any decision by the Security Council.
Right.
So, right now, if the UN wanted to do a UN no-fly zone, the Russians could say, nope, not going to do it. And if
Yeah.
the UN wanted to put peacekeepers in there as UN peacekeepers, the Russians could say, nope,
Mm.
not going to do it. And because they have veto power.
Right.
And as the aggressor in this conflict, my personal opinion, and again, I don't know all the rules and the ins and
Right.
outs of the United Nations, but
Right.
I would think that that Russia has violated the United Nations in many different ways, their rules, and the United Nations should remove the Russian delegation from the
Right.
Security Council.
I
I
agree.
mean, they should just be told, hey, you know what? I mean, if you were being peaceful and you were, trying to do the right thing, then that's
Yeah.
one thing. But you violated the spirit of everything, and you're going to lose your seat on the Security Council. You have no more veto power.
Right. Yeah, and we're going to find out. I'm curious if anything's going to happen tomorrow. We'll see it on the news. Obviously, I've already hearing people, oh, we're going to be in World War III. There's going to be nuclear bombs, all this. Hey, I'll believe it when I see it. But again, I highly doubt that.
Well, the World War III claim is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And here's why I say that.
I agree.
The reason I
I
say the
know.
World War III claim is ridiculous is that right now Russia has their hands full with just Ukraine,
Yeah.
and they're not able to defeat just Ukraine.
Right.
There is no way that they're going to attack NATO now,
Right.
which is not even a country, it is a group of countries.
Right.
And we've now seen how basically insignificant the Russian military really is and how ineffective they are.
Yep.
And what I got to tell you is right now, I mean, you got to imagine. I mean, the military, the United States military guys are a bunch of 18, 19, 20-year-old guys, and it's like, yeah, your sergeants, your corporals, your lieutenants. I mean, they're older than that, but your average guy in the military in the United States is a young guy.
Yep.
And when they train for a lot of different scenarios.
Yeah.
And so one of the things they probably train for is, hey, if there's a conflict with Russia, then this is what we're training for.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to tell you something. Seeing how poorly the Russians are executing their plan right now, there's a bunch of 18, 19, 20-year-old guys out there chomping at the bit saying, let me at them.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's like we thought they were a formidable,
They're
group,
not.
but now, man, these guys suck. And it's like, I mean,
that's mildly putting it, but yes, they're not trained
but
right.
Think about it. Well, but the reason they're not trained right, okay, is because Russia doesn't have a volunteer military like ours, and they don't have a professional military like ours.
Right.
Everything is conscript. So when you hit a certain age, you're required to enter the military.
Right.
And you go spend 1, 2, whatever years, in the military.
Yeah.
But they don't have a professional military like ours with guys that will reenlist and make a career and spend 17, 18, 19 years and become professional at their trade. Yeah. So these guys that are over there fighting, some of them may have been in the Russian equivalent of high school. Yeah. A couple of months ago, got a cursory training on, hey, here's how you wear your uniform, and here's how you take your rifle apart and put it back together. But as far as extensive combat training, no, they don't have it. They never have.
Yeah.
And so, right now they've been exposed. Mm-hmm. And so, I just think that, if they realize that they can't even beat Ukraine, my personal opinion is could be wrong. I have been before in the past. I don't see Russia taking the chance to actually draw all of NATO's ire against them.
Yeah. Well, we got to go back and talk about something too that we were both wrong on, and we both found out the hard way it's actually a good thing that we thought this war was going to be over with fairly quick. We thought Russia was going to go in. We didn't expect Ukraine to go and say, hey, we're going to accept you in here. That's not the case. We just thought they were going to go in and take a city out, and then all of a sudden Ukraine was going to surrender. I mean, we thought it was going to be quick, and this is going on a lot longer than any of us thought.
Support that this would have been over.
Yeah, I did too, and I thought it was going to be over, and I'm actually glad this is going on. I'm happy to see it. Now, I will say this, yes, I hear people talking out there, well, the Ukrainians are doing this to their own people. I'm hearing that. I'm hearing things like, well, the Ukrainians were bad. Yeah, there were some bad things in Ukraine that has happened, but just like Russia, a lot of stuff's happened there. But we're talking about like Russia invaded Ukraine. It wasn't a situation where Ukraine was just going, picking on them, going back and forth. So that's the real issue here, and that's what we're talking about.
It's not a fact that the Ukrainians were
not the people
abusing their own people and putting them in gulags and stuff
we're hearing
like the Russians
stuff. That's
do.
all, and it's not the case.
And because we would have been hearing about that.
Correct.
And see, this is the thing, for the folks that think that the Russians are doing the right thing now, and they're being the white knight or the whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
For the people who are thinking that right now, okay, something that I brought up a few minutes ago.
Right. Russia
has a seat on the United Nations Security Council.
Yes.
If Russia has a seat on the United Nations Security Council, if the Ukraine was, abusing their own people, and killing off their own people and, everything like that, then why didn't Russia bring that up to the UN have the UN do something?
Good point.
Why did Russia act unilaterally and do it themselves without going to the United Nations? Because that's what the whole point of the United Nations is.
Yeah. But, these are conspiracy theories out there, and we're hearing these people that believe all this stuff. And, for you guys to have these conspiracy theories, you're not part of the solution. You're actually part of the problem. I myself know of one out there that's talking about a whole situation where Russia's doing the right thing. First of all, they're taking back their country. Well, it was never their country.
No,
it was never their country.
It was a portion of the Soviet Union which broke apart, and Ukraine became a separate country.
Right.
Actually, Ukraine was a separate country under the Soviet Union.
Exactly. And yet, that's how stupid these people are when they think this is going on and they don't do their research. They don't know what they're talking about. And they're completely wrong. And these are people that are conspiracy theorists. That's what they do. They come up with all these theories that aren't based on any fact. It's based on something that I think that just comes up out of their head, or they hear bits and pieces of something and try to put it together like a puzzle. And it's a jigsaw puzzle on different parts. It's not even put together right.
That's a great analogy, the puzzle analogy, because and I'll take that analogy even one step further. It's almost like they take like three puzzles and dump them on the table and mix all the pieces up and then divide it into three different piles and then try and make a proper puzzle out of each of the three piles.
Yeah. And maybe
it's not going to work because the parts aren't right. And it's like, so they get their information like those puzzle pieces.
Yeah.
And it's like, and they're like, well, based on what I've got in front of me, this is what I came up with. And you look at it and you're like, that's not even a valid picture, and it's like, And so that's the same thing. They're grabbing these puzzle pieces that don't match, and they're putting together a theory of something that doesn't make sense. And that's why I brought up the thing about the Security Council, because if there was really something horrible going on in Ukraine, then that's the way that Russia should have handled it.
Correct. And I just don't see it. I just heard, I'm hearing all these different stories about things going on like that. I'm sure things are going on here and there. Something goes on or something. There's always going to be one bad seed in the crowd. We always say it.
Well, is there corruption in Ukraine? Absolutely. Ask the Biden
family. Of course. Yeah.
So I'll go with there's corruption in Ukraine, and it's like, and that's actually something I don't doubt. And it's like, I
and I don't even think the Bidens are the only ones
Yeah.
complicit. I'm pretty sure there's people on both sides of the aisle that
Hillary
have been
Clinton.
making
Is
money.
there?
Well, no, I'm sure there's Republicans too that
I'm
just,
sure there
we
are.
don't know about. But,
Sure.
I mean, so is Ukraine corrupt? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Are they genocidal? I haven't seen anything to support that.
Yeah, right. I know. That's what conspiracy
doesn't mean it's
theories
not
talk
happening,
about.
but I haven't seen anything.
I haven't seen anything until I get
day
proof.
and age of cell phone video and and everything like that, where just any person can show anything at any time. I just have a hard time believing that something like that was going on in the Ukraine and nobody knew about it.
Yeah. All right. So enough of that subject tonight. We're going to end the show here in a minute. I got one more thing to say. We did run a little bit over tonight, guys, but I want to do a shout out to our farmers tonight. Okay, so I heard some farmers speaking, and they're talking about what's going on with these gas prices. So let's put this together, guys. Joe Biden thinks that we're having great, and inflation's going great. The economy's doing good, and I am so perfect, and all that. Yeah, right, Joe. So let's talk about.
We're going to have a food shortage.
Yeah, I know. Let's talk about this with the farmers. So these farmers were talking, and this is going to be a short one, but the farmers were talking about diesel prices, and the diesels, the fuel that goes into these tractors are diesel. Now, let's think about this, guys. If you go look at the gas prices and then look at diesel prices, big difference. Diesel prices, I wouldn't want to have a car. It's diesel right now, just because diesel's way up there. Now, thank you, Joe Biden, by the way. Yes, he did that. So that being said, let's talk about things in the tractors. They were talking also about a sensor that they can't even get the part that goes into the tractor. It's a $40 sensor, but because they can't get this, it's on back order. Thank you, Joe Biden. That, guess what? They can't run their tractors. Well, guess what that does? It makes it a little bit harder to get food, and they have to cover their prices. Guess what? Your food prices are going up. Inflation, guys. Thank you, Joe Biden. Oh, by the way, I got to give him applause. Yeah, that's about all applause he gets, real short. There was no applause really for him. I gave it really quick. No, it's an applause of being how stupid he is and how he's handling this. He's not handling it at all. So, otherwise, that's all I got to say. What do you got to say on that, Jerry? And then we're going to end this.
Wasn't it Biden's press secretary that said that press secretary or secretary of the Treasury or something like that said the inflation was going to be temporary?
That's true.
I remember that. I don't remember which person said it, but I do remember them coming out and saying that it was temporary and it was transitory and that it was not going to be a permanent condition and it would be over in a couple of weeks and we'd be back to normal. And, so, but then again, these are the same people that told us 2 weeks to flatten the curve on COVID. So,
I also heard gas prices were going to go down too. Yeah, that really happened.
Yeah.
What?
I'll tell you something. Gas prices did go down a few cents in some areas.
I didn't see
it. Basically that's, nothing to do with anything that Biden's doing. But I'll tell you something, even if they went down a few cents, it's still way higher than when he took office. My pickup truck took $109 to fill the other night.
Yep.
And that's with regular unleaded. If I was having to use premium,
or diesel,
it would have been far more than that.
Yeah.
Or diesel. Yeah.
Diesel would be really bad. And that's why we're all about our farmers. That's why I bring our farmers up on a show every time. I talk about our farmers occasionally. This is one night I'm talking about the farmers. Guys, we're proud of you. You're doing a great job. And we know you're going through hell right now with this. And we understand it. Unfortunately, us understanding it isn't helping you. It really isn't. People like Joe Biden, who should be opening up, obviously, more pumps, more pipelines and not shutting them down, should be doing the right thing, getting oil from Alaska. We've talked about it, and obviously the Keystone Pipeline should be start being built again. I'm sounding like Joe. See, I start talking about him. I start going into that little thing that he does.
Next thing you know, you'll be falling down on the stairs.
Yeah, well, remember, I don't even have anything in front of me. I talk just like this. I don't have any,
Yep.
I'm not reading from a script or anything else, and that's one thing I always say, and that's one thing I'm going to continue to do. So, the minute I have to think in my head, Joe's got the whole thing in front of him, and he's like, what did I say? Oh, hold on, that's not on my list. Hold on, I got to look. Let me look at my list I was supposed to talk about. They gave me instructions.
Well, not
He
even
says
what's
it.
not on the list, but you can tell when he goes off the script.
Yeah.
And, I mean, and I guarantee you that there's some
I
pretty
know.
harsh conversation when he comes back in after doing that.
I guarantee behind the scenes they're going, oh no, oh no,
For
Joe.
those of the people listening that have seen the movie and the movie Happy Gilmore, his grandmother's in that old folks home.
Yeah.
And Ben Stiller's character is a guy that oversees the people in the old folks home, and he's abusing them and everything like that. And and that's what I think about every time that I hear Joe Biden say something he shouldn't say, that when he goes back inside, that there's a Ben Stiller character inside that's going to, hold him to task and punish him for, saying something he shouldn't have said.
Yeah, it's interesting. I hear a lot more about Obama lately than I've had even when Trump was in office. He kind of disappeared for a while, and then all of a sudden Joe's back, and we're hearing a lot more from Obama all of a sudden. I wonder what's going on there.
It's kind of funny. Tonight we were at dinner with some other friends of ours, and Obama came up. And when Obama came up, one of the folks that we were having dinner with said, well, you do understand that Obama was about as much in charge when he was the president as Biden is now. And I was like, that's probably true, because he was a guy that just came out of nowhere, had no real skills, had no real accomplishments, just like Biden. And, basically, was kind of kept from speaking, without a script.
Yep.
And so, when you look at that, it's like, so that's why, I think Obama's been so silent, is that, he knows that if he comes out and speaks, he has to have a script, because if he doesn't, then he's going to blow it. Because he may have some advanced degrees and he may be somewhat intelligent, but, let me tell you something, he's what I would call an intellectual.
No. Hey, by the way, I'm going to show this on the camera, guys. I hope you can see this. Try to hold my camera straight. Guess what it says? I saw this. I had to take a picture of it. 2012, Barack Obama. It was on the back of a car today. I'm a little confused. I thought all those cars went to the scrap heap. I thought Obama had his thing to get rid of cars years ago.
Cash for clunkers, yeah.
Right. And I was like celebrating. I'm like, great, cash for clunkers. Here we go. We're getting all the Obama stickers off. That's how we did it.
Well, now, to be fair, though, Brian, I do have an Obama sticker on the back of my pickup truck.
Yes, but I'm sure you got something written beside it or something else.
Well,
because
it says Obama, and then under that it says why stupid people shouldn't vote.
Okay, I'm glad you actually said that, because I'm sitting here going, well, I think I'm supposed to go have dinner with Jerry tomorrow night, but if he's now supporting Obama, it's going to be a little bit of a different thing when I get there tomorrow night. So you guys might want to YouTube. Yeah, there'll be a big fight in the parking lot. And again, as I'm always going to say, if he were supporting Obama, then, well, it won't be much of a fight. Let's say that. But
I would agree.
Oh, gosh. All right, guys, as always, we want to go ahead and thank our law enforcement for everything you guys do. Guys, we're really proud of you. You guys are out there. There's a lot of stuff going on. We heard something else briefly. I'm going to make it real quick on the news tonight. I heard it. Jerry probably didn't hear about it, but apparently there was a case where the protesters actually they caught a victory. No, it's not a victory, because they were taking the protesters' side and saying, the law enforcement was being brutal on some stuff. And, I didn't go into reading it, but I can tell you this, if that's the case, and who are these guys? They're gaining this millions. I forget, it was like $1 or $2 million. Who are these guys? Unless I see proof of that. I mean, yes, there's some bad seeds in the crowd, but a bunch of protesters getting money out of it, I don't see why. Unless they were actually involved, they got hurt, something like that, then maybe you deserve some money. But that's all I'm going to say about that. Anything on that, Jerry? And then we're going to move on quickly.
How much are we giving the cops that got hit with bricks and, got concussions and lost an eye or, something like that?
Yeah, or businesses got burned down. We can go on with the BLM and all that. All right, guys, want to thank obviously our law enforcement. We thank you guys. We're going to thank our military as well. Hey, I guess you're going to Ukraine, right?
Yeah, according to
Who
Biden,
knows? According to Biden, I don't know. World War III starts tomorrow, apparently. No, I'm kidding. Don't take that seriously, guys. Oh, my God. And I got to tell you a funny joke in a minute. And then I do want to thank our farmers. We know you're going through a lot. We just talked about it. Thank you guys for everything you do. Our first responders, thank you for everything you do. Our truck drivers, you guys are still driving around a lot of places right now, and I hear a lot of good things are going on with that. And for the people that are working. So, again, thank you. Okay, I did a joke yesterday on somebody. I actually saw it, and I had to do this. And it was an alert that came across my phone, and it's like one of those alerts you listen to, and all the phones start going off. It's usually a flood watch or something like that. Well, somebody put a fake alert out there on a TikTok video, and it was kind of crazy, and I actually copied it. And I had my phone yesterday, and what it did is goes beep, 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 and then it said National Alert Services, whatever the case may be. I'm not sure how they go through it, but it said a tsunami has been detected heading towards the east coast of the United States. An earthquake of 9 point something happened, and it's playing. It sounds so real. And it says everybody needs to evacuate the coast. Washington is going to evacuate, or D.C., and it's going through this whole thing. And it says, if you are 400 miles inland, you need to evacuate the coast 400 miles away, right? I first heard it, I'm like, that's pretty scary. And they were saying the tidal wave was 1,600 feet high. So anyway, I did this with some people yesterday, and I played it like it was an alert. You'd be surprised how many friends of mine, and I did it to friends. I had a few of them go, oh my God, oh my God. And they were freaking, one freaked out so bad. I thought this individual was going to have a heart attack. I got to go home. I got to run out of here quickly.
That's like the old H.G. Wells War of the Worlds.
I know, it was. Look that up, guys, for you young guys out there who haven't even heard about that. War of the Worlds, H.G. Wells, really happened. There was a whole radio. It sounded so real that people believed it. They thought that was really happening. But it was really cool. But that being said, a couple people freaked out. I had one person go, well, my phone's not going on. What are you doing? Because they know me, by the way. They know I am a prankster like that. And so anyway, and one of my other friends, he's sitting there. He's just like this typing on the computer. He's like, looks back and goes, continues to type. I guess you're ready to go. But anyway, I was going to pull this prank on Jerry. We're going to have dinner tomorrow night, but I was going to pull this prank, but Jerry's not that stupid. He would have looked at me and said, that's an iPhone. That's not going to work right. I already heard about it, guys. I know. I'm hearing about it from some people. You know how we do the whole Android iPhone. So I've already heard, well, yep, you got an iPhone. Yep, guess what that means? Guess who makes iPhone? Yep, you're a terrorist. Know all this stuff. I'm getting all this craziness because iPhone. But otherwise, I also do photography, so I got Apple computers. That's why I have to use that. And Jerry and I go back and forth on his Android phone, and that's about it. Right, Jerry?
Absolutely.
Take that earpiece out, Jerry. You look stupid. He lives in it. His wife told me he sleeps with the earpiece in, yeah. But he works hard. He works a lot, and he gets lots of phone calls constantly, so I get that. That's understandable. All right, guys, thanks for everything. You guys have a great night. God bless you. God bless America. God bless Ukraine and everything that's going on in the world right now. Pretty much God bless everybody. And take care. Have a great night.